Doug Carr, Scott Anderson, 97 won a ticket. Look, a decade ago, there were no sports in Vegas. Now we got a Super Bowl there, 2 pro teams, more on the way. And look, what they were concerned about was whether or not the integrity of the game would be called into question. And I realized when we brought this up as a topic today, it never even enters my mind. So now the follow-up question, is Doug naive? 248-539-9797. The consensus, it's not consensus. The more people think I'm naive than not. And maybe I am. And maybe I don't want to believe that games are impacted by this stuff, but I just don't. I don't think it is. I don't think they are. Now, if you're going to tell me that there's the occasional one-off, like Bama baseball coach, like Tim Donaghy, but I think as time goes by and people see Bama baseball coach got to 15-year show cause, Tim Donaghy's out of the game, like those serve as deterrents. And so it just never enters my mind. Now, if you bring it up and you want to make a case that can I be convinced that it's happening more than I'm aware of? I probably can be convinced of that. But anyway, how prolific do you think this is?
I don't think Gator and I think it's rampant, but it definitely enters our minds at some point.
Yeah, well, Gator, in the moment of watching games, it enters his mind. Let's get to your phone calls. D is
I just found out that Harley Putnam ran out of possum fat. He ain't going to have his fastball like he did before.
Oh, Bama baseball coach. We got a lot we can do with that. D is in Detroit, and he's on 97 on a ticket. Hi, D.
It's Doug in Ypsilanti. Is that right? Is that you got me?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Okay. No, Gator, that was the best thing I've ever heard on this. Thank you so much for making my morning. But, Gator, I'll give you a game. You were talking earlier. How about that Miami of Florida Georgia Tech game? When they could have just kneeled the ball, and then they hand off and fumble, Georgia Tech goes down and scores and wins the damn game.
After the coach had already made that mistake at a previous stop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no kidding. So that's all I had. Thanks again for the entertainment. I really loved it.
Thank you, Doug.
Appreciate it. Wasn't that just dumb, though? I mean,
twice?
Didn't we just chalk that up to dumb?
First time's dumb. Second time you do it, point shaving. Potentially.
Doesn't it say, though?
You always got to protect your ass. Mama said, don't sit down on a wooden bench if you want splinters. Make sure you got some denim. And we got denim. Ain't get no splinters. Not from them tumor trees.
Let's go to James. You're next. Hi, James.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for taking my call on the show.
Thank you.
Just wanted to give you a really good NFL example, one that didn't sit well with me at all.
Okay.
And with a team and a coach that I really just cannot stand anymore, but it was earlier in the season, Rams-Niners. Rams were they were getting 7.5 on the spread, and they were down 10 with 4 seconds left in the game. I don't know why you wouldn't just kneel it down and end the game and keep it classy. Instead, they ran out Brett Maher for a meaningless field goal down 10, in which he made it and they covered the spread. That one did not sit very well with me.
So
Thanks for taking my call, guys.
hold on, was that the last play of the game? Was there any time left?
I'm looking at it right now. There were no 4 seconds left. Stafford spiked the ball, and then
that one, guy.
Yeah, and then they kick the field goal as time expires
to make a 10-point loss. If you're going to run a play at that point, because I could see kicking a field goal if there was going to be time left after the field goal to try the onside kick, but to do it when there's no time for another play.
The line was 7.5, and they won by 7 because of the field goal.
Do you guys remember the reporters questioned Sean McVay about this? Like, why didn't they? I think they brought up gambling and point spread, and McVay was like oblivious to it. He said, "He didn't know. I don't even know what you're talking about." But they're like, "Why would you do this?
Right?
Why? What was the purpose?" I think but I believe his answer was something about player safety, which is weird. But
player safety?
I don't know. It didn't make.
Spike the ball with 4 seconds left. You spiked the ball so that you could trot out the kicker, not so that you could try to score a touchdown, but so that you could Trot out the kicker.
I think it was because he didn't want to throw a Hail Mary, which maybe Stafford gets hit or something. Instead, they just kicked it because it was safe.
It was a short field goal.
So this is an example, right?
A 38-yard field goal.
I understand why my man would draw that conclusion, and it sounds like our guy had money on San Francisco to cover the 7.5.
That's how you notice the thing.
But at the end of the day, it wouldn't even enter my mind. I do remember that story now, but we didn't do that as a topic right afterwards, did we?
You probably shot it down. You and your naivete.
And his embargo.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a Stafford game. That's true.
Trying to pad his stats at the end of the game. What?
Well, was there a time or two James Franklin at Penn State?
I'm telling you, last year there was definitely a situation with Franklin at Penn State.
But that's easily chalked up to him being a knob. Right?
I said, yeah. I mean,
in regards to Doug being naive about coaches and everybody not knowing the score and the spreads, the James Franklin play you guys were referring to, and I remember this because I'm pretty sure Valenti won money because of this play because he bet on Penn State. Franklin was going for a kneel down at the end of the game, and they weren't covering. And instead of the QB kneeling it down, he faked it, threw a touchdown pass for them to cover. And it was like a huge spread. And afterwards, in the press conference, he literally said he did that for the Penn State fans that bet on the Penn State game. I'm pretty sure.
Was that I think it was a
Northwestern, wasn't it?
Was it a 30-yard touchdown pass?
I forget what game it was. Yeah, it was like a 30-yard touchdown pass that they faked the kneel down at the end of the game.
It was the end. It was towards the end. It was 2:20 to go, and the quarterback Bo Pribula threw a 30-yard touchdown pass to Trey Potts. Yep.
And he, in the press conference, he admitted to it. He goes, "Yeah, we weren't covering, so I wanted to cover." He didn't say those exact words, obviously, but he basically said, "I did that for all the Penn State fans that bet on Penn State to cover."
They were a 26.5-point favorite, and they won the game by 28 points because of that touchdown.
Yep. I want to find the exact quote. I want to find the exact quote because...
Is that a quote from the quarterback or the quote from James Franklin?
Oh, from James Franklin himself in the post-game press conference. And I remember that distinctly because Valenti bet on Penn State to cover, and he was just like celebrating because he's like, James Franklin's such a douche, but to cover and win, which he is obviously such a Richard. But I just remember that. Yeah, that was nuts. So
yeah, I want to see the direct quote because I feel like if a coach says that, they'd get in trouble.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I'm looking for it as well. I've got a story that might have it. So
yeah, okay.
Do we know if that's a rule to try to cover the spread? I mean, you're still trying to win and play your best, right? Is it just the opposite? Like you can't not?
I mean, he faked a kneel down attempt.
I know.
I mean, this is that's the most egregious thing ever.
But is that just bad sportsmanship? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or is that just, hey, we can't say that the integrity's on the line, but because they were still trying to score points, that's the whole point, right?
Yeah, but in the game, there was a couple minutes left, but I'm looking for the veracity of him admitting it. I'm not saying he didn't, but I think that would have been I do remember the play. I do remember the moment. I do not remember the coach saying he did it intentionally.
Yeah, I don't see anything about that. I see a quote from him where he says, "I believe that from the opening kick to the last whistle, you compete and you play. Now, if you leave your first team in, that's a different story. Then you should change how you play, and you take your knees and you run in situations that you normally wouldn't run in. That's different. But when your twos go in the game, those guys get a limited number of reps. They should have a chance to compete." You faked a knee. He did a fake kneel down and threw a touchdown pass.
But at no point here are we seeing him say
no.
Yeah.
But we know. We're led to believe otherwise.
Right, but I think if a coach actually said that, they'd hear about it. But maybe he did. We just can't find it. Let's go to Sean. You're next. What's up, Sean?
Hey guys, what's up? Doug, I've been naive throughout my life on it too. I know that there's somewhere somebody's doing it. Somebody's getting paid to throw a game or something. They have to be. I mean, we live in a world where doctors are going to prison for falsifying medical reports to get kickbacks from chemotherapy companies. So we know what's going on, right? But it's a matter of how much. And the farther we get on, I mean, the scripted crowd is getting stronger. But this is my biggest problem. The NFL could fix this. The NFL could make us all feel a lot better if they put the referees in proper position and use the eye in the sky and all this stuff. They have billions of dollars. They could come up with a way to make us feel better about the refereeing, but they don't. They just choose not to. And that's one of the reasons that makes me feel like it's more fixed than it's not at this point. I mean,
hold on. I'm okay. I'm listening to everything you're saying. You just said it's more. You think games are more fixed than not?
I don't know how you couldn't at this point. I mean, look at the storylines every year. Look at the first round of the playoffs this year. I mean, Lions, Rams, Hill going back to Kansas City. All of them, every single one had a storyline. And now the Taylor Swift, I'm starting to lean way into, and I'll tell you, the first time it happened to me that I said, wow, is this stuff fixed? There was a game when the first years of instant replay came in. It was the NFC Championship game between the Buccaneers and the Rams in the Greatest Show on Turf game. And I fully believe that Keyshawn Johnson didn't catch that pass, or he did catch the pass, but wasn't getting, it was right there on replay. He caught the ball, and they overturned it, said he didn't catch it. They wanted the Rams in the Super Bowl. That was the first time. I'm not a gambling person, so none of my anger towards the sport is geared towards gambling because I don't bet on sports. So,
okay. I look, you believe what you believe, but you think
I don't know what I believe. I don't want to believe because I'm a fan.
I know. It sounds like you believe more games are fixed than not.
I'm starting to.
Okay, guy, I'm going to turn to Gator and Kang. That's too much, right? He believes more games are fixed than not.
I think that's too much. That's going too far.
I think that's too much. But I think there is. He actually wants to be like you, Doug. He doesn't want to believe this, but it's crept into his mind so much. I think he's gone like almost too much the other way.
Too far the other way.
But I do think I agree with a lot of what he says, though. We're human in the end. Everyone is an individual. People are making individual decisions. So someone's bound to go rogue all the time. Look at the Patriots receiver from LSU that was betting during his entire college career.
Right.
That can't be the only one. It just can't. And then he's talking about because the referees and people always question these decisions. Why can't they clean it up more if they have the ability to?
Yeah, well, I don't want to insult our guy there, but I think he's nuts. I think he's absolutely crazy to think that more games are fixed than not.